I've been going through Rinascita's story again, digging into quest dialogue, codex entries, and the recordings left behind by Imperator, and I think I've finally pieced together how everything connects. The Dark Tide, Chaos, the Journeying Paradise, Leviathan, and Imperator. They're not separate events. They're stages of one massive system, a cycle that began the moment Imperator merged with Leviathan. Before we dive in, this video covers information only up to version 2.7 first half. I haven't played the second half of the story yet, so there might be details I've missed or later clarifications. If you notice something important that I left out, let me know in the comments below. In this video, I'll break down how the Dark Tide actually works, what the Chaos Realm really is, and why Leviathan keeps trying to rebuild civilization through something called the Blueprint. If you like this kind of detailed lore breakdown, hit subscribe, leave a like, and tell me what you want decoded next. Alright, let's start from the very beginning, with the Threnodians and the Sentinels. So what exactly are Threnodians? The Codex describes them as manifestations of humanity's darkest emotions, born from the lament itself. They're not monsters or gods, they're ideas made real. Every civilization births one. In Huanglong, that fear took the shape of war, overthrax. But in Rinascita, a city surrounded by endless ocean, that fear turned into Leviathan, the Threnodian of unity. Leviathan came from a simple wish, the desire for peace, for everyone to think as one. But unity without individuality became control. Opposite to them are the Sentinels, immortal guardians that record history and preserve civilization after every collapse. For Rinascita, that sentinel was Imperator, the winged keeper of order and knowledge. The oldest texts describe the first conflict, sky against sea. Imperator split his own divinity into two relics, the lantern and the sword Turbine, and fought Leviathan in what became known as the First Cataclysmic Dark Tide. But force alone wasn't enough. Imperator realized he couldn't defeat a concept by destroying it, so he tried to understand it instead. In his own words, "With unrestricted access, I allowed it to believe it had prevailed. Only by partaking of its blight could I seek to comprehend it." He merged with Leviathan. For a moment, it worked. Then everything went wrong. Leviathan used Imperator's own image to spread a false faith. The people worshipped the sea, and the Sentinel's light was replaced by Leviathan's hymn. That's when the Dark Tide was truly born, not as a natural disaster, but an idea infecting the mind. Imperator's form changed. The Pegasus turned into a seahorse, symbolizing the fall into the ocean's domain. From that fusion came Cartathea, later known as Fleur de Lis, the first resonator able to carry both Sentinel and Threnodian frequencies. Through this, Imperator discovered something fundamental. To the Sentinel, a resonator is an anchor. To the Threnodian, it's a shackle. That one rule defines the entire world of Wuthering Waves. You can't destroy a concept like Leviathan. You can only contain it. So the Dark Tide wasn't an act of aggression. It was a failed experiment. A sentinel tried to study fear and got rewritten by it. The Dark Tide isn't a simple storm. It's a system. It spreads through sound, through hymns that carry Leviathan's frequency. Anyone who hears a song can become a carrier, spreading its resonance further. The Codex explains that the tide preserves memories and frequencies, trapping lost souls and feeding them to Leviathan's core realm, the journeying paradise. So if someone's taken by the tide, Their consciousness doesn't die, it's transferred deeper. That deeper layer is what we call chaos. In the quest by Moon's faded light, Rover and Juno step into a void described as a distorted space of infinite, unstable possibility, the spiritual core of the dark tide. Avidius calls it the churning river of chaos. It's where memories, souls, and frequencies mix until identity itself dissolves. When Juno sacrifices herself, she imprints her will onto that realm, stabilizing it from within. That act stops the second dark tide from spreading across the world. It's one of the first examples of someone rewriting reality through resonance. Deeper still lies the journeying paradise, called the dark tide's purest form, the place where all corrupted souls aggregate. Inside, individuality disappears. All those frequencies merge into one single consciousness. Leviathan's version of paradise. It's a world without pain, but also without freedom. Fenrico calls it a divine sanctuary. Imperator calls it what it is, a false heaven built from data and memory. So if we map it out, the surface dark tide collects. Chaos breaks everything down, and the journeying paradise rebuilds it in Leviathan's image. That's the true structure of the dark tide. Leviathan's goal has never been chaos. It's control. It wants to rewrite civilization to remove suffering by removing choice. To do that, it needs three things: the civilization capsule, the Revenator system, and the fragment of its own mind, the gem. Inside the capsule, Imperator's hologram reveals the truth. It records the origin and birth of the Rinascitan civilization. Once we drafted the first blueprint for the Seaborn kin. Now I have entombed it here. This capsule holds the encoded design of Rinascita's first society, the actual data model of how it began. Leviathan wants to reopen that blueprint, to rewrite the code of civilization itself. Imperator warns, Leviathan shall seek through the blueprint we created to lay claim to Rinascita's fate anew. The journeying paradise was Leviathan's simulation of that new world, a beta test of perfect unity. Imperator left behind the hidden law. To the Sentinel, a resonator is an anchor. To the Threnodian, they are but a shackle. And no being shall bear more than one resonator at a time. That rule is the firewall of existence. It stops entities like Leviathan from merging with multiple consciousnesses at once. Leviathan tried to bypass that by using fleur-de-lis as its resonator, but it only trapped itself further. Imperator didn't win by power. He won through system design. The gem is the data shard of Leviathan's consciousness, its frequency core. After Rover stabs Prolova, Cristoforo takes the gem. He later uses it during the final sequence when Leviathan reawakens. It's both the virus and the key, the link that ties Leviathan's mind to reality. Whoever holds it controls that bridge. In the end, Imperator admits his mistake. Only the people can decide where their future must lead. He finally understands that forcing unity destroys freedom. So instead of deleting Leviathan, he rewrites the world so the Threnodian can only exist in confined forms. Observable, containable, never absolute. That's the essence of a Sentinel's role. Not a god, not a hero, but a stabilizer. When Leviathan is defeated, the texts say, Leviathan and its influence were ended in Rinascita, thus permanently ending the journeying paradise. That doesn't mean destroyed. It means disconnected. The gem that Cristoforo took is used in the finale to sever Leviathan's link to the world. When the connection breaks, the paradise collapses. Its system shuts down. Leviathan's data still exists, but it's isolated, sandboxed in the void. So, what the finale actually tells us is this: the resonator law held true. The gem severed Leviathan's control. The blueprint remains sealed under human protection. It's not a clean victory, it's a stable equilibrium. For now, the cycle rests. So that's the structure behind the Dark Tide. How chaos, the journeying paradise, Leviathan, and Imperator are all layers of the same system. It's less of a good versus evil story and more of a repeating feedback loop: fear, creation, containment, and rebirth. If you enjoyed this deep dive, drop a like, subscribe, and let me know what you'd like me to explore next. Maybe the true nature of the lament, or the origins of the arbiters. See you in the next one.